Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and we're going to make a card today, and it's themed really for friendship. If you look, I'm starting with it in an envelope because I always stress that when you make a card, you want to make sure that it will fit into an envelope, especially if you're going to send it through the mail, but even if you just want to present it to somebody in some nice little container, it's nice to have an envelope. My envelope is 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, which I think is an A7 size envelope, and when I pull out the card, you'll see that it's themed for friendship. I have the watch theme starting on the cover, and then when you open it up, it's accordion pleats with more watches inside, and they sit up in these accordion pleats. My message says, "What you doing?" If you look at it, you can see right down here. But I picked watches because they're so versatile. You could say things about taking time off, about having a good time, about time well spent, that it's party time. The time stands still, when you're having a good time. There's all kinds of time references that you can use that make it a really versatile theme for your card. And if you look at it from the side, I'm going to flip it over so you can see all this is a piece of paper, and it was all white to begin with, and it's just been accordion pleated. So in order to start, let's look at the card format, which is that white paper that I referenced. I went to an office supply store and I bought a ream of 11 by 17 white cardstock because I like having that 17 inches for some larger projects. It's not expensive and it lasts a long time, and I use it for, even when I end up making something that I piece together, I usually make my first one because it's easy to start with a long sheet like this. This is 17 inches long by 5 inches wide, and I start by just folding it simply in half. From this midpoint, then what you want to do is you're going to score, and I scored every 5/8 of an inch. Now, I mention this all the time about scoring, but I don't always stop to show you. EK Success makes this thing, it's called a cutter bee, and I use this when I have to score so many places. This is so easy to do because this section here, you can put a blade that will cut, you can put a blade that will perforate, or you can put a blade that will score. So when I lift this up, and I put pressure on this is going to score whatever paper's inside. So I use this green guide on the base of this tool as my alignment. So I started with this middle line. The actual cut spot is going to be right, I don't know how easily you can see it, but there's sort of a discolored channel here where it cuts. So what I did is I just kept moving my card over to align with my score line with this, and I laid it down to make a new score. So if I lay this down, I'll show you. Here's the first score. I'm going to now align this up with this, and down here with this. And then when I set this down, and I press down and slide this, I will get my score. So then I would just slide it along and keep aligning my score. And I realize with white you can't really see it, but if you don't have a lot of scoring to do, so it's not worth it for you to invest in a scoring tool like that, you simply need to take your bone folder, and I marked mine every 5/8 of an inch. So from the midpoint, I scored 4 times over going to the right, and I put 4 score lines going to the left. So it's a total of 9 folds. The first one in the middle it starts as a mountain fold. So the next one, it needs to be a valley. And I finger lightly fold all of these pleats. I don't press them down tightly, which is a trick if you want your finished product for all of those folds to line up nicely. If you do each one separately, sometimes it becomes kind of cattywampus by the time you get to the end. I'm now going to finger fold going the other direction, once again, just lightly, alternating valley and mountain and valley and mountain. And when you have that score line to work from, it is incredibly handy. So once you have them all just very loosely folded, now I place them together. Now, in order to avoid having something that looks like this when you're done and is kind of crooked, now before those folds are really strong, now line them up, then take your bone folder and go back and really give a nice crease. to all of those fold marks that were previously just kind of lightly scored. And I'm now getting this edge, but if I open it up, I want to now strongly fold all of the tops of all of those. And I don't want to mark the cover of the card. Turns out I'm going to cover that anyway, but in case you're going to use your card and leave it white as a base, you don't want to press hard here because you'll get a score line from all of the pressure of these folds inside showing through. So now you have your card with all the accordion pleats inside. Whatever shapes you're going to put inside, they'll sit up long enough for you to figure it out. So it's easiest to start at the back, and I'm going to take watches. In fact, let me bring this up and show you. Here are the watches that I'm going to use in this, and if you look at them, you can see that the watches are just a rectangle with an arrow at the tip, and then I've either got squares or rectangle, or in this case circle punches that are layered to create the watch face. And then I've just gone back, and you can, with other colored paper or with a pen, you can add in the numbers and the watch hands. With a different color I add the holes, and a different color I add the buckle. And you can see watches are something that you can do easily with punches and just cutting all your leftover scraps on the paper trimmer into rectangles. I'm going to turn this over and put adhesive on just the section that's going to overlap the fold. So I don't want the adhesive to go any higher than 5/8 of an inch. If I bring this back over, let me move everything a little so it shows a little better to you. You want to start, as I mentioned, in the back. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to place this in what will be the back row, and then I'll come over and I'll hit the other end once again in the back row. I've already put adhesive on the other watches so that my back row has 3 watches, and I'm going to press those into place. Then the next row, I'm going to come in, and they'll show better if I kind of stagger where they are positioned. So now I'm putting 2 in the next row, and they sort of are set in between the 3 from the back row, and I'm going to close that and kind of press. The third row, I'm going to go back to 3. So I'll place 1. I'll do the other end. I usually do the ends first, which kind of helps me see if I want the one in the middle to be equidistant between the 2. It's a little easier if I have the outside ends in there first. I'm going to press to make that adhesive stick down, and then I'll go ahead and I'll add the 2 in the final pleat. And when you think about the card, we haven't decorated the cover yet, but this really gives you the guts for the card. All the wow factor is really, it's there now. Now it's just a question, if you look at it again, you can see all those cool rows. It's just a question of decorating the cover. Now, of course, I wanted the watch theme to carry out into the cover as well. So I've started with this, and I added 1 smaller watch. I'll put a few of these layers together so you can see what I've done here. I'm just going to put pattern paper, and I've cut it, trimmed it so that it fits, hopefully it fits my cover here. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that down, and then if I bring these up and show you, I'm not going to stop to add all these other layers, but if I set that next to the finished one, hopefully you can see how easily these go together. I've just matted a green paper on top of the red, and if you look closely at the green paper, I've used a white pen to go back through and just draw these leaves to create the pattern. Sometimes, you know, if you can't find a pattern paper, or you just want to save the expense, it's easy to make basic geometric patterns. Then I've added some torn black paper over the top, and then with a little foam adhesive, I've raised a piece of paper that will sit, a colored paper that will sit here. A smaller watch is going to overlap in this position, and then I've used, and I'll go ahead and peel this off so you can see, I've used a love sticker, and these, I love these stickers. They're very fragile, so the easiest way, instead of trying to pull the sticker off, it's easiest to curl the backing away and leave the sticker sitting up. So I'm going to just use my tweezers so my hand's not in the way in order to show you how you just pull it off. Position it so that it sits where you want it, in this case on this. And then I would go ahead and attach this over this layer so that when they're all layered up and fastened together, you can see it's not going to take much time at all to recreate this cover. So this is using, as I said, watches, because there's so many different themes that you can for your cards using the watch as your embellishment, but tons and tons of other choices once you make this accordion structure. Here is a thank you card where I have the card itself is black and all the hands are die cuts hands in colors, and it says thank you for lending a helping hand. Here is another one, and I'll bring it up, and it says thanks, and inside the accordion pleats it says are all the hearts, and it says thank you with all my heart, and the hearts on the bottom are punches, and the other hearts, I think I hand cut most of these, but easily you could use die cuts as well. There are so many other choices. I thought I would bring up some cards that I have from some of the different card companies I'm licensed with. So here is a birthday card, and inside are hearts that are all wearing party hats. It says put your party hat on and celebrate. This one is a relax and enjoy your day card, and the pleats have been covered over, if I turn it this way you can see, with what looks like sand and it says have a ball. Here is for a baby theme. It says 3 cheers for the new little one, and I have little onesies and all of the little pleats. Here is one for birthday, and I have what looks like the recipe for cupcakes. And then inside it says happy birthday, you take the cupcake. Notice that if the shapes are fairly large, I have graduated the size of the shapes as well. So the smaller cupcakes are in the front row, and then I got a little bigger in the middle row, and then larger in the back row. This particular card, instead of having 4 interior pleats, it only has 3 interior pleats. And then I wanted you to see, if you want to really change it up, instead of putting embellishments that are die cuts inside, you can use it to feature photos. So these are my brother's elementary school photos, along with a current, more current photo of he and I at my niece's, her wedding rehearsal dinner actually. But once again, it's just accordion pleats, if you look at it from the side, with all of the pleats filled with his pictures from school. And notice once again, I started with the smaller photos in the closer rows, and the images get larger as they move to the back so that they really stand up. I picked watches for my original card embellishments because they're just so versatile. But as you saw, you can switch them out for other shapes to match whatever theme you want.